Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. Welcome to day 12 of my 12 Days of Crafty Christmas. It's hard to believe that we are at the end already, and I have got a super project for you today. I have definitely saved the best till last. And I'm not going to tell you the type of thing that we're going to create until we've created it, and then to kind of hold a little bit of magic. So I have sized this project to allow use of a 6x6 patterned paper. I am using a piece of Reindeer Days designer series paper for today's project, which is a 12x12 paper pad, but you could use a 6x6. It's designed to work with a 6x6 paper pad, so whichever size you've got, this project will work. So I've got this piece of design series paper here. Like I say, that's from the Reindeer Days. I am going to be using some shaded spruce, some real red and some whisper white for today's project. I have got a couple of stamps for sentiments from the Greetings of the Season stamp set. You have seen this stamp set several times during this video series. It's the Greetings of the Season stamp set, and the stamps that I'm going to be using are the Merry and Christmas, and they're separate stamps, but I'm going to be using them together in the kind of swirly font. And then I'm also using the May Your Holiday Season Be Filled with Warmth and Cheerful Celebration, which I think is just lovely. So I'm going to want a sheet of shaded spruce, a sheet of real red and a sheet of basic white, and then I'm going to want my paper trimmer. So I'm going to start off actually by cutting our designer series paper. So the piece that we want measures 4 1/4 by 6, so I am going to cut that down to 4 1/4 like that. And then what I haven't done is written down the measurements for scoring my designer series paper. We will do that at the end. So 4 1/4 by 6. So when I put my project together, we'll take the measurement for that. So my base piece is going to be in real red. So I want a piece that measures 5 3/4 by 8 1/2. So 5 3/4 by 8 1/2. I'm going to pull the arm out. Make sure I'm lining up to that half measurement. Butt it up to the top so I get a nice straight cut, like so. And then while I'm here, I'm going to score that piece as well. So I'm going to score at, I've put the arm away but I need it, I'm going to score at, we'll do the long measurement first, so I'm going to score at 8 inches, and then I can pop the arm away and do the rest of the score marks. So scoring at 8, and then I'm going to score at 5 1/4 like that, and then at 2 1/2. So that's that piece. Then I am going to want a piece of real red that measures 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. So let's take that at 3 1/4 by 2 1/4. Yeah, should be fine. Then I want 2 pieces of basic white that are 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. So I'm going to go 2 1/4 that way, and then 3 1/4. I want 2 of those. So there's 1 and 2. right piece? No, it's that piece. There you go. So there's that. So 2 pieces of white that are 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. 1 piece of real red that is 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. Then I want 2 pieces of shaded spruce that measure 2 1/2 by 3 1/2. So I'm going to cut that at 2 1/2. And then 3 1/2 and 3 1/2 again. And there's 2. And then the last piece that I'm going to need is a piece of basic white that measures 2 by 3 inches. So I've got a scrap here, I'll just use that. So 3 inches by 2 inches, and then that is all of our pieces cut. So we've got those 2, which go with those 2, that one which goes with that one. If you've made this type of card before, you probably know what's coming. So I have also fussy cut from the Reindeer Days paper this reindeer. So we're going to want him. And then I'm going to be using the Heartfelt Hexagon punch. So I'm going to be using my template here. So it doesn't matter which punch you use. You could use a die if you wanted to create this notch here. But for this bit and this bit, you want there to be a straight edge. So you could use your paper trimmer instead of a punch if you wanted to. Or you could use your snips, but you want it to be a nice straight edge, top and bottom, and you want them to kind of be in the centre. And then your decorative piece is going to go on this middle panel. So you want to have your really narrow panel on the right hand side, and then you're going to do the punches opposite each other with the straight edge on the far left panel, and then your decorative punch on the centre panel. So let's do my decorative one first. So I'm going to line it up kind of in the centre like that. That looks good to me. And then I'm going to do my straight edge on that end panel. And then, oh, that's not very central. Fine. So it's not hugely central, but they are kind of opposite each other. So now I'm going to think about my layers. So I've got my piece of real red and the piece of basic white, and this combination is a little bit smaller, or it's 1/4 of an inch smaller than my shaded spruce and white combination. And on the white panel that goes on top of my real red, I am going to stamp my "May your holiday season be filled with warmth and cheerful celebration." Just checking that that's going to fit. It's tight. It is tight. What I might do, I'm going to stamp it and I'm going to see, and what I might do is cut another panel that is 2 1/8, maybe even 2 1/16. So this is a photopolymer stamp, so I need my Stampin' Pierce mat to make sure I get a nice clean impression. I'm going to aim for kind of central, top to bottom, and it's tight. No, I need a slightly bigger piece. Okay, let's cut another one. So 2 1/8, or even, yeah, 2 1/8, 2 1/8 by 3 1/8. Actually, I wonder if that piece will do it. So 2 1/8 by 3 1/8, like that, and that just gives me a little bit more space for my sentiment. So let's stamp that again. A bit of fluff on my stamp. There we go. So again, I'm going to go nice and central, top to bottom, and then aiming for nice and central left to right as well. There we go. I'm happy with that. Okay, so let's stick that together. So I'm going to pop that piece onto my Real Red. Nice even border, so that bit's ready. Then I'm going to take one of the basic white panels to go with my shaded spruce, and I'm going to stamp my Merry Christmas, and I'm going to stamp that kind of near the bottom. So I'm going to stamp them separately, so they are separate stamps. So I'm going to stamp them separately to make sure that they're nice and close together. So I'm aiming for nice and near the bottom, and you'll see why shortly. And then I'm going to grab my Merry on there, and I'm stamping the Merry and the Christmas in Real Red, and I put them nice and tight together like that. So there's that one done, and then I'm going to stick that onto my piece of shaded spruce, and then again nice even border, but this border is going to be a little bit bigger than our Real Red border because we made our white panel a little bit bigger. And then my reindeer, I'm going to pop him flat onto this piece of white, nice and close to the top. Now, I am all for dimensionals. I use dimensionals a lot, but for this particular project, the dimensionals will come on the front panel, but not on this piece. So I'm popping him as high as he'll go, like that. Okay, and then we're going to pop that onto our shaded spruce layer. And then there we go, so that's those bits ready. Let's close up our ink pad. Okay, now you're going to need something that might seem a little bit random. So I have got a strip of a cello bag that is a little bit or between 3/4 of an inch and an inch wide, and this is going to go, so we're going to bring in our Real Red card, and this is going to go behind and in front, so it's effectively going to be wrapping around our card, and I want to make it so that I'm going to trim it down a little bit, but I want to position it so that the join, I'm going to trim it in a second, but I want to position it so that the join is a little bit below halfway. So I'm going to trim off with my snips that I had a second ago and have lost. There they are, hiding under the cardstock. So I'm going to trim off some of that, and you could use tear and tape. I'm actually just going to use the adhesive from the cello bag, and I'm going to make that into a loop. So you want it tight, but you want it to still be able to kind of slide up and down. So let's peel off the back of that sticky, and then so it's not super tight, but also not hugely loose. There we go. And then this should slide backwards and forwards. It's a little bit tricky to do when it hasn't got anything on it, but it should move. And then if you can move it when you do when you pinch it on both sides and kind of roll it, then you're good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my leaping reindeer and I'm going to pop him. So I'm going to pull this around. So I've got the seam of my cello bag is kind of just beyond the top, and I'm going to pop a little bit of adhesive just at the bottom in the centre of my reindeer, and then I'm going to line him up with the top of my card and pop him down, and then he should slide. This is so cool. I love these, they're so clever. Okay, so we've done that. Now we're going to turn it over the other way, and I'm going to take my Merry Christmas, and this time I'm going to pop some adhesive on the front in the centre like that, and I'm going to pop it face down, and I'm going to line it up with the bottom of my real red cardstock like that. Then I'm going to fold it over and fold over again, and then this panel I'm going to pop some adhesive on this narrow edge, and then this is the fiddly bit. So what we want to do is we want to fold this around our shaded spruce piece so that the shaded spruce piece is kind of inside. I don't know how well you can see that. And then we're going to close the front down over the top. So this is what we're left with. And if I get hold of my reindeer and give him a little pull, I get my little Merry Christmas to pop out the bottom, and my leaping reindeer leaps out of the top. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm just going to very carefully lift my reindeer, and I'm going to pop him down a little bit further on my card, just because I should have lined it up before I stuck it down, but just because when you pop the card in, you could see the top of my reindeer. I don't want to see the top of my reindeer. I want him to be hiding because I want him to be a fun surprise. So I'm going to pop him a little bit further down, just so that he's leaping out of my card, but when my card is closed, you don't know he's there. Then, so I'm going to pull that out, and I need to make a hole for some ribbon. So I'm going to bring in my detailed trio punch, and we are going to line up kind of the centre of our card. I'm sorry if my head got in the way then. And when I'm happy that that's kind of central, the punch. There we go. So there's our hole. Then I'm going to, although I've used real red, I'm going to grab some of the cherry cobbler ribbon. So we're going to use that. So I'm going to make a loop and thread it through. That's way too long. Let's trim this down. So I'll fold it over, and then which way is my loop going to go? Let's try it. I always do it the wrong way. I always end up with the tidy side on the wrong side. So I think what I need to do is to poke it through from behind. Ooh. There we go, and then I'm just going to loop that through. Yeah, there we go. So there's my little loop. Nice and tight, and then I'm just going to trim those ends like that. Then I'm going to take my designer series paper and we're going to wrap the designer series paper around there's one side and the other side, and you should have kind of about 1/4 of an inch or so crossover. And then I'm just going to pop some adhesive down one edge, and then we'll just fold that over the top like that. And then our sentiment square we're going to pop on the front, and this I am going to put on dimensionals because it wouldn't be a Helen card without some dimensionals somewhere. So let's pop that up. And then you could, instead of putting a sentiment on the front, you could put a stamped image, you could put a die cut image, punched image, whatever you fancy. So I'm going to pop that on there like that. And then I am going to add a little ribbon bow, I think. I've said it before and I will say it again, there is nothing quite like the pressure of tying a bow on camera. There we go, and then I'm just going to pop that on the front. I'm going to grab a glue dot to pop that on. And I did contemplate fussy cutting another reindeer to put on the front, but I really like that the little reindeer is a complete surprise. Well, not if you've seen this video, but I really like the idea that the reindeer is a complete surprise and you just have no idea that he's hanging out inside the card. And oh, that's what I didn't do. I didn't stick it onto the... Sorry guys, if you were crafting along with me, you're just going to open that up and then I'm going to stick it onto the real red as well as to itself. Ooh. So we're going to fold that one down first. Just kind of wiggle it so it's a bit straighter. And then that one down over the top like that. And then when I pull, out pops my Merry Christmas, out pops my reindeer. And you would have no idea that that's what's hiding inside. You could add some extra decoration. Actually, I could have stamped that a little bit higher. What we could is add a little bit of something to this panel, and I'm thinking maybe we add, what have I got handy? Maybe we add some leaves. Or some, yeah, I want leaves rather than flowers, because the flowers, just stamp some leaves in. Shaded spruce. Let's grab a block to put it on. This is what happens, you see. I have this crafty plan in my head, and even when I am the one who has designed the project and what I'm going to do, I still can't help myself but go rogue. Where have I put my shaded spruce? There it is. So I think I'm going to stamp off, so I think it's going to be too dark. Yeah. Second or third? I think I want third. So I'm going to stamp off again, and then I want to kind of keep it within the white. I feel like maybe that was a mistake, but never mind. What I could do is go over the top and heat emboss. I feel like I ruined it. Never mind. It's still delightful. They're so clever. And it's so simple. It looks like it would be really, really complicated to make. But actually, it's really not. So, thank you so much for joining me. I do hope that you have enjoyed my 12 Days of Crafty Christmas this year. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would consider going back and watching days 1 through 11. Pop me a comment, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know which of the 12 days has been your favourite. And if you have created any of the projects from my 12 Days of Christmas, I would love to see them. You can send me a message on Facebook, you can email me at cotswoldcraftcorner@outlook.com. If you would like to purchase any of the products that I have used throughout my 12 Days of Christmas, the link to do that is in the description box of the YouTube video. And I will pop the link separately over on Facebook as well. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and following me over on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care. Bye.